Hey there, my name's Liam, helping you be the artist that you want to be. In this video, we're going to cover a little bit of comic book goodness. I have a comic book that I bought when I was a kid, and it's a special comic book. It's one of a kind. It's a Jim Lee comic book, but it's the first X-Men comic that Jim Lee ever did. His usual inker was Scott Williams. That's kind of the duo that became famous, you know? But in this, he came to the X-Men, and Dan Green, who was the regular inker at the time, inked it. And there's just some really cool artwork in there that I just picture in my head from the first time I saw it. I love it. And so I'm going to do a little study from it and learn a few things. So this is the comic book. Right away, when you look at it, you can see Colossus just looks huge and fantastic. Just look how epic Colossus is. There's only 3 artists that I care about who draw Colossus like that, and that's Arthur Adams, Mark Silvestri, Jim Lee. The proportions are great. It just makes Colossus look totally epic. I also love it because it's got Arthur Adams characters really small up here. For some reason, I really like artists' small drawings. When they draw small, you can kind of get a better sense of, you know, their proportions and the shape of everything and the dynamics. So this drawing of Wolverine, I mean, come on. When I look at a hand like this, I see a lot of Mark Silvestri, and you can kind of tell that a lot of Mark Silvestri's awesomeness also came from Dan Green. No slight against Mark Silvestri, but Dan Green is just the man. He's just such a great inker. So what he brought to this drawing of Wolverine, I mean, that's an iconic drawing of Wolverine. Look at this comic. So comic aficionados and collectors are like, no, don't mess with the comic. You know, this comic's in good condition, but in my opinion, comics are meant to be enjoyed and read. And I like turning a page. I like feeling it. To me, that's worth the money. So whatever, cringe all you like, comic book collectors. This page right here has some cool stuff. Check out this panel. This is how artists have fun in their spare time. You know, you have too much time on your hands. Colossus playing bass, Storm playing flute, Havoc playing saxophone, Psylocke playing harp, and what is Wolverine doing? He's playing a violin. Yeah, like what would the X-Men do if they were in a jazz band? This page has some beautiful artwork. Look at the pose on Dazzler as she's falling in here. Ricochet Rita, I think, is here also. So this is really kind of a call out to, or call back to Arthur Adams and a lot of the stuff that Arthur Adams did with Longshot. I mean, I'm giving really obscure references from when I was a kid here. True comic book X-Men fans will know what I'm talking about. But Spiral just looks so cool. Fantastic silhouette. Very spider-like, you know? Spider. And then this issue kind of gets a little bit weirder as it goes into Mojo Land. Chris Claremont's the writer. He was the writer on X-Men for many years, and he is a big influence on my writing. You'll find, I hope so anyway, that his influence is evident in my comic book, Hello Future, just in the way that he weaves all these stories from different characters together, all the work done in the background with various storylines and characters and how they play out. I love this era of comic books with Chris Claremont, Mark Silvestri, Arthur Adams, Dan Green, Jim Lee. I love this comic book. This pose, this Havoc pose right here, that was a big influence on. I drew like that pose hundreds and hundreds of times in comic books. It's great. Yeah, like Psylocke just looks really cool. Colossus is fantastic in this picture too. He's great. And it's just a small frame, but it's got so much goodness, you know? And then it goes into this whole Mojo storyline. You got some classic Jim Lee figures here. This is from still the beginning of his career. He eventually went into his own stylization and took this off in his own direction. But it's nice because this is, you know, it's not early Jim Lee. The first Jim Lee comics were all from Alpha Flight, and that's where he really cut his teeth. And then he was in Punisher War Journal, and then he came over to the X-Men. And at this point, he was already very seasoned and accomplished. I think he was still in his 20s, a 20-something-year-old, just a phenomenal artist, knows how to draw figures. And here I am in my 50s copying him, which is exactly what we're going to do here. So I'm going to take this and just learn what I can from this particular pose, the leg particularly, and the hand. I enjoy the style of this. Well, let's see. Where's the top? Right about here. And bottom right about here. Okay. All right. Let's draw. There's no better way to spend time, in my opinion, than copying some comic books and having some fun. The rib cage comes around here. It's turned slightly like that, and then there's a twist. So the center line comes down like this, and then there's a twist to the pelvis, and so. When I'm copying someone's artwork, I want to get inside their head and think like they do, you know? And with Jim Lee, he was a medical student when he became a comic book artist. And I think that really helped him out because he already studied anatomy kind of professionally, right? So that probably gave him, not probably, I know for sure, 100% sure, that it gave him a leg up on drawing figures because he did anatomy studies. Obviously he got enjoyment out of drawing it. And I'm just working on those basic shapes, getting things squared away so we know proportion wise. Jim Lee was notoriously cheap at drawing feet. He didn't draw a lot of feet, but they still have great shape. Just anatomically speaking, maybe not the most accurate, but suits me fine. I think I messed up a little bit on where the hand is here. You don't get the placement right in the early stages, it'll cost you later on. So you got to make sure that everything's laid out well. This comic is so much fun. I remember the excitement that I had when I saw it on the comic shelf and I bought it. I'm like, oh my gosh, is that Arthur Adams? No, it's Jim. Oh my gosh. And at that point I had been buying the Punisher War Journal for a long time and just eating up that artwork, man. He made Punisher look so cool. Is the man. Also, another thing I noticed about Jim Lee is like part of the reason why his heroes always look so cool is because they have that super square jaw. And if you look at Jim Lee's face, his like real life face, his jaw is very square. So I think that helped him a lot drawing heroes' faces because he already has kind of a dude's jawline, you know, as to use as reference. It's always better, in my opinion, to draw fast, because you will have that energy and it'll be the excitement of it. Becomes part of like when you draw fast, the excitement's there in the drawing. The line work is vigorous. It's just a better thing overall. After years of trying to draw figures, and I really appreciate how these comic book artists how they crank things out. They kind of repeat poses and then get used to drawing those poses fast, and they develop a style off of that, which I think it's like a hack, It's like, how many times are you going to draw this particular hand from that angle, or this body from whatever, and you just find ways to cut through and be able to draw faster, so you're not reinventing the wheel every time you pick up a pencil. Okay, now the reason I did this drawing in the first place is the hand. So let's draw some guidelines here for it, like this. Now, that's cool because the hand is kind of placed in the middle of a foreshortened forearm. It pops out here, here, and then comes underneath right here. So we see the wrist and the forearm, bicep comes around behind here. See now that I've lined things up a little differently. This actually comes out here more. I'm going to erase this whole leg. You know what? Well, this is over here and further up. The more straining that goes on in these poses, the more dynamic they look, They're just kind of relaxing or whatever. You need to be doing something, flexing some muscles, stooped over, or whatever. Something actiony. It's good if you can make a drawing your own, I mean, I want to copy everything about this and just, find every little thing out of it. But at the end of the day, I don't want to copy other people's work and draw like they do. I got to find my own voice, take something from this that I like. And that's the way that that's the whole theory. Be the artist that you want to be, right? I don't want to be Jim Lee. There's lots of people trying to be Jim Lee already. But you can take something from them and then make it your own. Let's see. Yeah. All right, let's clean it up. I like when Jim Lee does this in his Twitch streams. You can see you're just like, oh my gosh, you're erasing it. No, just cleaning it up. Clean it up. A little bit of detail. Faces are all about subtleties. So this is where you let yourself live there for a second. If the drawing sucks, I'll just redo the video. I'm glad it's not live. But even if it does suck, no big deal. It's a study. I see what I did wrong. The mouth, I drew the mouth starting too far below the nose and blocked it out. I'm using one of these, what do they call them? Fudenosuke? This is the preferred pen of David Finch. David Finch uses these. I'm going over the character designs for Hello Future, and I'm making the same kind of decisions. It's like, how practical are these costumes and their uniforms and stuff going to be versus the cool factor, and the cool factor wins out every time. Things need to be cool. They don't necessarily have to make sense. It's at this point where I would normally run to go get a coffee or whatever, and I just don't feel like stopping. I'm gonna continue drawing. Down kind of distortion that happens to me when I'm drawing in front of the microphone, things skew over to this side. I always go, zip. That's exactly what's happening here. David Finch tells a story about when he worked with Todd McFarlane, and he had done pencils for Todd McFarlane. And the way that David Finch draws is he does a lot of his own cross-hatching. And he was saying, don't do the cross-hatching. Don't worry about it. Don't do your cross-hatching thing. Stop it. You're wasting time. I'll do that. Because Todd McFarlane was inking his pencil drawings. And he's like, I do my own cross-hatching. I thought that was pretty funny. The disagreements that artists have over their particular trademarks, because David Finch loves his cross-hatching. Found out that one of my favorite artists uses a Sharpie all the time, and that's Simon Bisley. He's like the Sharpie guy, but he starts all of his drawings with a Sharpie and then goes in with other things afterwards. It's like rock and roll from the beginning to end, man. Really looking forward to finishing up the artwork on my I Like comic book, Hello Future. We've been working on it for a long time now, 3 years, just going over the writing and the plot, the character designs. It's been a background project, just why it's taken so long, but I'm excited about getting to this stage with that comic book, because I just know when we get there, it's going to be a way to really refine chops, become a much better artist, working on my own thing, not someone else's project, but my own thing. Super cool. Tell me. That foot's way too big. Let me shrink that up a little bit here. Bring it back over here. Lost my pencil drawings. That's the way it should be. Back there. Gonna go grab some white. Clean this up. Let's see if this works. Oh, yes. Comes out all right. It's big blobs. My gosh. All right, well, while I let that dry, talk a little bit. So I got this YouTube studio set up to do live streams and Zoom calls and YouTube videos. And I've been doing courses for drawing on how to draw using the Loomis method and art fundamentals. So I have courses that I'm teaching here in town, and then I'll do the recaps, the videos, and then I make the videos available to people. So they're paid courses, and I'm still making them. They'll be out shortly. So stay tuned for that, because I would really appreciate the support, and I know that these courses are going to be a benefit, like the classes are. Learning the Loomis method and classic drawing techniques. It's just a good thing to study, and I know that there's many other people out there that are teaching them. They're not me though. I'm my own guy, and my heart is to teach people how to be the artist that you want to be. It's important to me that you shape your own voice and that you don't look like someone else. You may start at one point like the same way that Jim Lee wanted to draw, like I think it was Alan Davis was one of his heroes, and then he went and did his own thing later on. It's like how fast can you sidestep that and move past that? You have to work at your own speed and practice your own thing. That's really my goal. And as I copy Jim Lee, I know that the things that I'm learning from this drawing will translate really well into my own comic, Hello Future. So stay tuned for that. The pre-sales be going on later on this year. That's my plan. So it's 2025 as I'm recording this. 2015, wow. 2025 as I record this. I am 50 years old. I just turned 50, and we're launching a lot of things this year. So I have my comic book, online courses, and there's also a bunch of paintings out there too. So it's an exciting time here in the Jones household. Is this dry yet? Yeah, it's really a messy drawing. Whatever. Yeah. Good enough as an experiment. Yeah. Passable. I encourage you to draw as much as you can, copying from the artists that you love, drawing from life. People say, oh, drawing from life is always the best. It's like, well, yeah, but you know what? Sometimes copying other artists is great too. Like, I get a lot out of that. And the stuff that I learned from that drawing now, which was, about an hour? That was an hour well spent. And you're going to see that carry over into my comics. So again, stay tuned for from a lot more stuff coming out about comic book goodness and Hello Future and all of that. Till next time, my name's Liam Jones, helping you be the artist that you want to be. Have a good one. See you soon.